So we're about to start, I think. And I want to officially welcome you to the Graveyard Shift. And congratulations. You are the winners of today's marathon of speeches and sessions. Now, unfortunately, the only prize you get is us. And, well, I'm Stathis Mihos. I'm the legal director for Greece, Cyprus, Malta, and Israel for Pfizer Pharmaceutical. It's an American pharmaceutical company that occasionally saves the world. And today I'm joined in the panel by two distinguished colleagues, one in-house, one external, one from the US, one from Greece. And I will introduce them in a minute. So that you know, we won't have any PowerPoint presentations and the like, no long speeches, just a relaxed conversation for the next, well, almost an hour, probably less, hopefully less. And we hope you'll find it interesting. We'll touch upon issues that we discussed earlier, but more from a practical viewpoint and less of theoretical one. And so just to introduce the speakers, the panelists rather. So I have with me John Stratakis. John Stratakis is a partner in Paul's, Tublin, Stratakis and Gonzalez, a law firm based in New York. The firm was founded in 1957 as a maritime and admiralty firm, and now practices maritime and real estate law. John joined the firm in 1994. His practice is concentrated in the transactional area with a focus on international ship sales, purchases and financing, and company formation in various jurisdictions. He counseled companies and financial institutions, and he also advised international investors. John has been a member of the board of directors of Navios Maritime Holdings since 2005. He's a former president of the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce in New York and a repeated co-chair of the Joint Shipping Conference of the Hellenic and Norwegian American Chambers of Commerce. Thank you, John. And I also have with me Kostas Argyropoulos, who is the General Counsel of Space LS Group. He's a digital integrator. This is a digital integrator and value-add service provider with an international presence in the field of electronic communications, IT, software, and security. Kostas has a wide experience of more than 25 years as an in-house legal counselor in the ICT market, both in a national and an international level. He contributed as a speaker in various forums with the scope to explore and understand technology. He has published various articles in AI, cyberspace law, data protection, public procurement, capital markets, and corporate governance. He's a scientific collaborator in the legal review technology and communications law. He's the author of books, graduated from the Law School of the University of Athens, and concluded postgraduate studies in Paris and Harvard. So John and Kostas, thank you for joining. And let's start with the main thing, technology and legal practice. And the question I want to ask is, how has technological progress influenced the legal landscape, particularly in areas like digital governance and data protection? And I want you to tell us if you notice differences in how Greece and the US are adapting to these changes, and how have the two countries, and for Greece also in a broader sense, the European Union, of which Greece is a member state, how have they addressed the advances in technology? And John, let's start with you.
Start with me, okay. Well, certainly, thank you, Stathi, for the introduction, and thanks to all the legal organizers of the event today. It was really a remarkable day of discussions. So I think we learned quite a bit, and we're trying to sort of wrap up all of these themes in our discussion this evening. Technology has certainly been a huge game changer, as they say, in the legal world, and making it possible for us to work more efficiently, more quickly, with greater responsiveness. I think it brings up, of course, issues in how you deal with this technology, and we've heard a lot today about how, as you mentioned earlier, how it should be governed. We are still working on the reality of how it is governed. And we look in particular to things like AI which is the latest tool, I think, in the technology toolkit. Certainly, with respect to digital governance, the U.S. and Greece have been, and EU in particular, and Kostas can speak to the EU, but in the U.S., there's been a patchwork of laws that have been passed around the U.S., very little passed from the federal government because of in the last 10 years that this technology has moved so quickly. It's also coincided, whether coincidentally or not, with a very partisan atmosphere in Washington. So if one party presents a proposal to regulate AI, the other party will oppose it, and there's been very little effort to work cohesively on passing some legislation to address AI in particular, and even digital privacy that Europe has addressed so efficiently. We've seen California has passed a GDPR-type law. Colorado has passed an AI regulating law, but also something to keep in mind in the U.S., actually two things. One is that privacy laws in the U.S. primarily have been focused on protecting citizens from government intrusion into their privacy. And this dates to Watergate and the time when the federal government was looking into everybody's personal and private lives. So whereas in the EU, it seems there's more progressive focus on making sure that people's data is private and kept from private companies as well, with all the metadata and mind-sweeping of information that's available now. It's something that has to be addressed, and the GDPR has addressed it in a certain way. Whether it's effective or not, I guess you might be able to tell me, but in the US, we just don't have the same concerns or urgency to regulate that. So that would be my opening remarks. I give it to Kostas to address the EU's side of things.
Thank you so much, Stathis. Thank you, John. It's really a pleasure to be invited in this summit. It reminds me back in 99 when I was a student in the US and I lived in Lowell, Massachusetts with my relatives there, and I have very good memories. I'm very proud of this. Actually, it is an honor to be with us, Professor Bernitsas, at this late time to attend our panel. I should say that in the EU level, there is a goal named like the Digital Decade Target, which requires that more than 70% of the EU countries adopt AI technologies by 2030. Right now, it is reported that the uptake of AI technologies in the EU is generally quite low. It's about 80%. However, there are 10 countries that have an adoption rate of AI technologies of more than 10%, and 7 countries with an uptake of a rate of between 5 and 10%. So it is true, we speak about AI. There is an ample discussion now within our country, Europe, about what are the safeguards that we must have in place and whether and how to regulate this new technology, its use. We all know that in the EU, the AI Act entered into force in August 1st, 2024, and is expected to be fully applicable on 2026, with some exceptions. It is a set of risk-based rules for AI developers and lawyers regarding specific uses of AI. And it is a part of, let's say, a wider package of policy measures to support the development of what we say a trustworthy AI. Of course, there is also the European AI Office, the Center of AI Expertise across the EU. And speaking about Greece, so within Greece, there is a strategy in digitalization and to proceed with the deployment of AI tools, especially in the public sector. The framework is organized under the EU, let's say, protection level and the AI Act and, of course, Greek legislation. And it is important to know that we have also specific independent authorities, as we call them in the European system, mostly French system, like, of course, the independent authority of the data protection and also a specific authority for cybersecurity. So our, let's say, strategy is digitalization, but we have to focus on the framework of the AI Act as a principle.
I think it's quite remarkable, really, that Greece has achieved such an accomplishment in digital strategy. I think the U.S. Maybe under Obama had started looking into this and developing a digital strategy, maybe not even as comprehensive as yours, but they only went so far as basically to upgrade the federal government's computers. That was the extent of the digital strategy success in America. But these days,
that's not small feat. In Greece, we spend almost half of the EU average on justice. So a little bit more spending on computers and new computers would be appreciated here.
But it's true, Stathis, that worldwide, Greece is one of the top countries right now in AI, let's say, policy and strategy and focus on AI. And also we are in top countries in scientists, well educated in AI.
Right.
This is very important.
And I think we see that in the States too, where many of the brain drain from Greece have come to the U.S. and given their technological knowledge to the U.S.
So we spend our money here and then we send them abroad to
That's right.
help the countries they go to. Good.
And also the chairman of our independent authority cybersecurity is Professor Blechas, who was the director of the MIT lab for many years with Professor Dertouzos.
Yeah, you hear a lot of Greek accents when you hear these people from American universities speaking.
But there's this trend of not only brain drain, brain regain.
Yes.
And we are working on that.
That's a good strategy.
In Pfizer, we have set up in Thessaloniki a Center for Digital Innovation. Sure. We have over 700 people there working in cutting-edge technology stuff like quantum computer. And really, I don't even understand the titles of my colleagues there. What they do, I don't know. I see the titles on their cards, and I don't really understand what they do. But it's really something that we're very proud of. And
I wanted to add one other thing, which is that in the U.S., much of the focus on regulation of AI and digital technology has been focused on making sure that the AI and the algorithms and the work behind it is not used in a discriminatory fashion. So whereas privacy in and of itself seems to be part of the European strategy, that's not really the strategy in the US. It's mostly caveat emptor, you're on your own, as long as it's not used to discriminate based on race, sex, disability, etc. In particular with respect to employment, housing, healthcare, and education. So New York, which also has an AI regulation locally, New York City, the focus is almost exclusively on that, to make sure that the algorithms do not discriminate. They don't care if the information gets out, seemingly, but as long as it's not used discriminatorily.
They say that US innovates, China replicates, and Europe regulates. I don't know if this is true, but Kostas, you mentioned previously the AI Act, and we have the GDPR. So we have very strong and established, for the GDPR, I refer to regulations and legislation in Europe, and we now with the EU AI Act. Do you think that this will be a benefit for Europe, or will it decrease the innovation adoption in Europe?
Well, it seems that GDPR worked quite well all these years. And actually, it is a framework, let's say, that convinced lawyers and jurists and companies to implement the philosophy, let's say, of the GDPR. Let's think about that the cases of transfers of personal data from EU to US and the effective, let's say, collaboration between the authorities, and the outcome was the adequacy decision of July 2023 of the EU, and the rules for the transfers to the US of personal data, and also the binding safeguards on the part of US. So yes, I am positive. It is a basic framework. It seems that right now, of course, everything in AI comes from US. We do not have to we have to remind this. And in the absence, let's say, of a specific framework in the US side, legally wise, AI is a very useful tool in the example of the GDPR framework. Yes, so I am positive. Of course, right now we are aware that there will be changes in the AI Act, but the philosophy is that we must, let's say, focus on the trustworthy AI, which is very important. And what John says about algorithms, of course, the basis of all the discussions is algorithms, and how the science and scientists and lawyers, they can, let's say, regulate something like regulation algorithms. It's very important. All these machines are machine learning tools. So if we focus, let's say, on a policy on algorithms, or an algorithmic assessment, let's say, policy, this will be very important. I think the AI Act is guiding us to this principle, to go behind, let's say, and to see how algorithms work, and try to find a secure environment.
And John, I mean, when we're discussing transatlantic business for, you have clients from the EU, and maybe Kostas, you know of United States or foreign companies trying to do business in Greece and the EU. Is the European regulation like the GDPR on now the AI Act, is it a problem? Does it make it more difficult for you?
Well, it definitely gives us something else to think about and have on our list of items that we have to deal with. So having a European client, you're obligated as even as an American lawyer or an American company to comply with the regulations. And this, we can thank ourselves for creating these worldwide laws that apply even to people that are not residents of your country. But certainly the U.S. is at the forefront of that. But for lawyers in America representing Europeans doing business in America, we still have to be cognizant of the regulations and have a plan for how to deal and collect personal data. If a European individual is buying a home in New York, we have to obtain personal data from them, their names, their address, often tax ID information, and other passport photos. So all of that is subject to GDPR, and making sure that you have a valid legal basis for processing and keeping the client informed of what's happening with their data, where it's going, how long it's going to be kept, and collecting only the information that's needed. All the information that you guys have to deal with, we have to deal with when it's a European client, and it's maybe a good idea to do it anyway. And if you have a certain level of professionalism, I think you would do it in any case. And I think it was Judge Chigaris who said earlier, just be careful in how you practice law and use care in what you're doing. So as Costa alluded to, the use of AI in law firms, we might get to that a little bit later, but the the information that's out there can be so easily manipulated, and you have to be super careful in how you deal with it. And not just for European clients, but I think for all of our clients.
And for you, Kostas, maybe an additional challenge. I mean, you work as an in-house for a company. How has the implementation of digital governance impacted compliance requirements for companies? Let's start with you, and maybe, John, you want to add to that.
Yes, compliance is relatively new in Greece. It is an obligation only for public listed companies. I can assure you that as a general counsel of a public listed technology company, that compliance is a necessity, I mean, corporate speaking, and a prerequisite in due diligence processes organized, for example, by US companies like big, let's say, technology manufacturers. And digital governance has consequences, new obligations for companies as the whole framework is adapted in a completely new ecosystem. With the use of AI tools, we will face challenges. I mean, data transfers may be made with AI tools or maybe with AI agents. So we will see new frameworks to come into force and even changes in the way we interpret existing rules. And the question is how well our organization is placed in such challenges, and compliance is very important in that sense. One example, let's say, is security or technology in the defense sector. The environment is changing with the use of AI. Let's also see that the number of cyber threat incidents that are increasing. All these are creating compliance needs for organizations. And as for differences, from my experience, I see US companies to be more well experienced in compliance, while in Greece, this is something new, as I said, and we need to profit from the US example. And in that sense, the cooperation between US and Greek lawyers could be very important.
Well, I think on the compliance side, certainly the U.S., yeah, I think I totally agree with your point. Costa is very advanced. I think looking at young lawyers in particular, if you need a field where you're looking for a job, compliance is one of the most open-ended, and they're constantly, especially publicly listed companies, are constantly looking to build up their compliance departments. So the regulations that are out there, certainly with AI, but even and technology, but even with other areas of regulation, it's a very, very deep field that's become a great demand. As far as technological and digital compliance, I think that's less clear to me how it's working, and I don't deal as much with the public companies as you do. On our end, we don't have as many regulations in the field, so the rules that are out there, as I said, basically are geared toward discrimination and making sure that you're not using the digital tools in bad ways. Now, AI can actually be an aid to that sort of compliance, and again, dependent on how the algorithms are set up, and it's all based on the science and the technology and engineering behind them that is making them effective or not effective in a good or a bad way.
I think we're halfway in our session. How are we doing so far? What do you think? Do you find it interesting? Should we continue or should we wrap up and go home?
Not falling asleep.
I don't hear any.
30-minute
Okay.
pause, let's say.
I thought of getting the pulse of the audience. All right. So you mentioned, Kostas, you mentioned cybersecurity and cyber threats, and I want to ask, what are the main cybersecurity concerns that companies face today, and how should lawyers help their clients, if we can, address these issues?
Very important, Stathis. First, we see that cybersecurity is a top risk in countries worldwide. If we see the Munich Security Index of the last one of 2025, we will see that cyber attacks are considered the fourth greatest risk in aggregate, ranking among the top 3 in US, the UK, and Canada. And they are the number 1 risk in the G7 rank in 2024. And in the States, according to the same index, 68% is the share of responders who feel that cyber attacks are imminent. So the corporate environment is completely new with the use of the AI. There is an acceleration in the way AI's interfaces with cybersecurity to pose new challenges in addition to existing ones. And AI is envisioned to enhance and automate cybersecurity functions both in defense and offense. It is important to know also that according to the Alan Turing Institute, a survey of 850 executives on the role of the AI cybersecurity finds a strong business case for using AI in cybersecurity. 3 out of 4 executives say that using AI allows their organization to respond faster to breaches, and 3 in 5 firms say that using AI improves the accuracy and efficiency of cyber analysis. And most organizations say that AI lowers the cost of detecting and responding to breaches by 12% on average. So there is an important role of lawyers here, and knowing that we need a quick and safe reaction legally in cyber attacks. Let's also see in Greece the new independent authority in cybersecurity and the obligation to report the incident and organize also corporate policies specific sectors, and at the same time and acting proactively, we need to have a plan well prepared by lawyers and also to strengthen companies' compliance and risk programs to protect the corporate ecosystem.
Yeah, I would say that's, I'd echo what Kostas said. Certainly, disclosure of sensitive information and access to financial information and documents are at the top of the cyber risks in the States. That's all these scams and phishing expeditions cause huge reputational damage to companies. That's the number one risk I think that people will see these days on the technology side, and all the usual protections that we advise our clients, best practices, the regular systems checks and data security protocols, encryption, multi-factor authentication, the password issue. People still use the same passwords over and over, right? And so these are issues that come up. AI can be helpful with that, but ultimately, a lot of I've found the response to cyber threats is also helped by having relationships with law enforcement. In the U.S. in particular, the FBI and the task forces that the Justice Department has for these kinds of searches problems can be really helpful if you have relationships with them. So as lawyers, we do have an opportunity to develop relationships there, and it's well worth the effort to have that in the event of a cyber attack, because it's very difficult to get on the radar of law enforcement when something happens, unless you have either such a massive breach that they have to take interest in it, or you have a relationship with someone that can help bring that issue to their attention. With cross-border transactions, it's particularly important to be aware also when you're protecting from cyber threats, to be aware of the different regulations that you could run into in trying to protect from that. So again, things like GDPR and making information available that you shouldn't make available and that sort of thing. So it's definitely tricky, but as I say, I'm a big fan of relationships, strong relationships with law enforcement and the people that would help you deal with an attack as well.
Yeah, it is a big thing because, I've heard that there are two types of companies: those who have suffered the cyber attack and those who are not aware that they have.
Exactly.
So it's happening every day as we speak, probably in our companies. Now let's to move to a topic maybe closer to our hearts, and that is the industry, the legal industry, the courts, the legal practices, and the role of technology in those. I mean, Gladstone had said that we all know that, I guess, justice delayed is justice denied, and we see more and more difficulties in every country's judicial system to cope with the increased demand, and technology could be a solution or not. What do you think, Kostas?
I mean, we're talking about judicial systems.
Judicial systems, but
yes.
also our individual
Yes.
practices and lawyers' practices.
Actually, yes, speaking about the legal practice, I think it's obvious that today's business is getting more and more digital. AI tools are either inside the business's life or very close to getting in. And for me, it is important, let's say, think about two things. One is copyright, of course, when we use AI tools in legal practice. This is a major issue. We read that online last week that two court rulings decided in US that the firms behind Gen AI, the generative AI, could use copyrighted books without permission to train their model. The two cases were related to Meta, Facebook, for sure, and Anthropic. And another very important issue, just to give us some ideas, is the AI agents. This is something that I have studied for the last 2 years. AI agents is a top legal issue in the US, and we do expect to also transform legal practices. It is not new. Automated bots have been in use for years. However, for all of today's concern about AI safety, including potential existential risks, there's been no particular, let's say, general alarm around those emerging AI agents. So agents means that it's not a typical chatbot. It is a machine, a tool with 3 distinct activities. The first one is that they can be given a high-level goal and independently take steps to bring it about through a research or work of their own. A second activity is that they can interact with the world at large, let's say using different software tools at will, as you might well open in Excel or placing an order while also browsing the web. And the third activity is that they can operate indefinitely, allowing human operators, let's say, to set it and forget it. So if agents took off, they may end up operating in a world quite different from the one that first would them up. After all, it would be a world with a lot of agents in it. And thinking about the role of AI agents in the legal profession, we see that there are examples that, for example, a lawyer asks a bot, help me to deal with this urgent case, and this might unwittingly generate something different, like a bomb threat, as the AI attempts to spice things up. So we need to be well informed and gain experience and to control AI agents. So for me, this is the most, speaking about AI right now in legal profession, the most, let's say, 2 important issues: copyright and also the role of AI agents, that the tools that they introduced in the contemporary, let's say, professional life.
Do you use AI agents yet?
Yes, and actually we have examples in, I mean, you can check it in the social media or in the YouTube, agents to interact
With other agents?
Yes, actually, I'm a lawyer. I have an agent. You, Stathis, are a lawyer. You have an agent, and we put our agents to contact one another.
Great, and we can go
Yes.
vacation to an island.
So
That's
this would
perfect.
be, let's say, a
I like that.
in 1 or 2 years. Yes, it's something
Yeah.
new for us. I mean, and,
Well, that's the sort of thing that makes lawyers nervous. Right?
Yes. And why is
So-
that, John? What
Yeah,
do you think is
exactly. I mean, look, we've gone from, help with researching cases online to worried about, somebody replacing you as an AI agent. The question to me is the AI agent admitted to practice law? And has it gone to law school? And can you sue it for malpractice? I mean, those are kind of issues that come up with the advice given even by chatbots, where you see, of
Exactly.
course, in the website of a law firm that has a chatbot where they say this is not legal advice. Well, when the person receiving it uses it for legal advice, that's going to be not so easy to explain. And I think the judge also talked about pro bono submissions, or pro se rather submissions, by individuals who don't have a lawyer. So they use this to come up with their arguments and their briefs and submissions to court as sounding better and not being written on the back of a napkin, and this sort of thing that courts sometimes deal with. So certainly we see it in our day-to-day practice. I don't have an AI agent. I don't think. Maybe I do, and I don't know it. But
maybe he has you?
yeah, he might have. Costa may have already developed an agent for me. But it's something that's certainly on our mind about how to vet these devices and knowing when they're being used. And this is something we're seeing more and more from clients asking us whether we use AI in our practice.
You see that? You see?
Yes, and
Oh.
say, especially from the banks, where they say, please tell us if you're using AI. And, not that I know of, but.
Exactly. You may not know that.
Exactly.
You're
So-
using LexisNexis or something, and maybe they're using AI.
Exactly.
So what do you say then?
So it's a tricky question and to answer, but we typically answer no, because we don't know we're not knowingly using any AI in terms of drafting contracts, drafting legal opinions, or forming advice to clients.
But do they object? Do your clients object to the use of AI, or they just want to know about
They
it?
just want to know. If we said yes, I'm sure there would be more questions.
More paperwork for
But-
you.
So
All right.
that's definitely a concern on the mind of clients, and also the extent to which you maintain client confidentiality once you search through an AI tool, and somebody puts two and two together in an algorithm, and suddenly it's out there for the public to find.
And what you said before, I have heard that in US, I mean, there are cases in courts that judges require from lawyers to, before submitting a paper, to submit like a statement that they have used or not used
Sure.
AI. Yes.
Absolutely. And when I was early in my career, I was doing some litigation. And so this came up with, as we say in Greek, sypni, δικαστή, somebody who's on the ball recognizes somebody who is maybe a little dodgy in how they're putting their documents together. And that applies today with the technology as much as it did in the past with just completely made up briefs. So now you use a technology to create the completely made up briefs, and the legal references, which in a common law system are very relevant to citations to court decisions of the past. And there have been cases I know of cases in New York and California where lawyers have submitted briefs to court with made up citations.
Yeah, hallucinations. Huh?
Yeah, and the other law firm would search for these cases. We didn't find the relevant cases, and lawyers have been sanctioned for that. But in the meantime, it gives people that idea.
It's interesting that AI hallucinates. It's I mean, the algorithm tries to please you, right? And they made up things just to please you. It's interesting.
It's reassuring in a little.
Yeah, in a
bit,
way. Not if you're in front of the judge who doesn't like what you said.
Well, we said, I think it was George Zapanta said yesterday that the AI does not have philotimo.
No.
So we have to be on the ball about that too.
And what about the legal professionals ourselves? are we friends of technology? Do we like it? Is it a generation thing? Do younger generations are easier to adopt technology or
Well, Kostas, the young man.
I'm not a
well?
no, if you want, John.
Well, certainly, I think we have to be friends with it, whether we like it or not.
Hmm.
So the way we have friends that we don't really like, but we have to be nice to anyway.
Okay.
So, but I think it is a friend of lawyers. I think it's enabled us to serve clients more efficiently, but it's a tool, and we have to remember that it's a tool and it's not an end in itself, and it's not something that can be used indiscriminately. There has to be reasonable care taken in how it's used, the way with any tool that lawyers have at their disposal.
But for me, let's say that I'm thinking that right now the reality is that, especially if we talk about companies, I am an in-house lawyer, that everybody uses AI. We do need policies inside the corporate, organization, because it is a common thing. To participate in meetings and to see that some, let's say, employees or directors or managers, they use AI and they provide to you, let's say, the outcome of their arguments from the machines. So it's very important to know if we use AI to say that I use AI. And imagine that right now, especially in Greece, we do use, let's say, the free versions of the tool, which are not, let's say, very well, let's say, sophisticated and controlled, because as we see, such tools are expensive. And if we do want to use, let's say, the latest version, which is by percentages, let's say, the most accurate, we have to pay for licenses. So I do believe that right now the problem is that we see using the such tools without control, and this might guide us, let's say, to some problems, especially when you, in a corporate environment, you must take a decision, or you are in a board and you have to take a decision, or in a general assembly. I do not see right now that the companies are convinced, let's say, to have policies for AI use. This is something that we have to focus on it. Of course, AI is something, right, it's not new. Of course, the machines are, this discussion started 2 years ago, and we see that billions of dollars, especially in the US, have been invested in such technology. And I believe that speaking with technology, let's say, experts, that the outcome would be every one of us to have its own AI tool. This is the goal, like the internet. 20 years ago when internet started, we realized some negative approaches. Right now, internet or the mobile or the email is something part of our lives. I think that year by year, we will see that technology will be supported, let's say, our profession.
So what you're saying is that what they say that AI will not replace you, but a lawyer using AI may replace you.
I believe that, AI will strengthen, let's say, lawyers. There will not be far away that we will see a lawyer specialized in AI, in ethics of AI, in cybersecurity. So we will see new sectors, let's say, in law, and these tools are here to assist us. I don't think that they will replace lawyers, but the problem is that you if you don't follow the tools, even as a lawyer, you may face some problem uh, comparing to those that they use the tool. Let's think about an example. Let's say the land registry right now in Greece. It is almost completely, let's say, digitalized. If you don't, if you are not familiar with the tools, you will have a problem in order to let's say, be effective with your client. I mean, to register your application or something like that. So it is very important for us to be open to this a new technology and to start implementing, let's say, the tools or the philosophy of the tools in our offices, let's say, in our firm.
And John, you mentioned the courts in the U.S. And the use of AI before the courts in the U.S. How about the judges? How do they feel about
Well,
AI?
that's a good question. I started out my career as a law clerk to a federal judge, and we did not have AI at the time. We barely had Westlaw and Lexis. So we did a lot of the research with books, what have you. I think it, as Kostas said, it can be a tremendous tool and helpful tool if used properly. And that if used properly is very important because we do see many courts in the US now, all the submissions must be electronic. There's no paper. They reduce the paper. So the decision making of the courts presumably is not yet based on AI, and I can't verify that, but because I haven't been on the inside of the courts in a while. But I think that it may be coming to the point where a court would look to, well, let's see what AI thinks of this before they make a decision. And again, going back to my algorithms point, that's fine if you have a fair and judicious algorithm. If you have an algorithm that leans one side or the other, you may run into problems. So I do think that courts are aware of these issues, as Judge Sagaris mentioned, and they are not yet, however, implementing regulations to deal with it, at least not in the U.S.
Actually, occasionally I visit the judges school in Thessaloniki, and I teach at seminars organized by the school. And I was impressed by how much younger judges, the students, those who have not taken over as judges yet, they're trained to be judges, and they were very well aware of issues like cryptocurrencies.
Right.
And stuff like that, which is not what you'd expect, a judge. Although older generations, I think, are still a little bit afraid of the machine and whether it might take their job.
Yeah.
But younger generations, I think, are more familiar, even.
Agreed, and you see judges as well as people generally, older people, using the terms without really knowing what they mean, because as all the consultants, McKinsey and what have you, will tell you, if you don't have an AI strategy, you're going to be left in the dust and goodbye. And so even my 97-year-old father knows what AI sort of is in conceptually, but practically, and this goes to what you were saying earlier about tools and having individual tools. These days, still broadly, most people, if they think of AI, they think of ChatGPT or Grok or something. You punch some question into the system, and what is it? Google also does that now too, automatically. So I think we have to find tools that go beyond that, that are catered and tailored to specific uses. And then again, once again, back to the algorithm question.
A final question, and then we'll ask the audience if they have any questions. And it's not so much about technology, this one, but I thought since we are here, Greeks, Greek Greeks and Greek Americans, what are the challenges and benefits of collaborating with international legal teams? And how can we, across the Atlantic or other oceans, can
I will
work
start to
together
leave,
better?
let's say, John to close. Speaking about Greece, our environment in Greece is international. Our lawyers are experienced in working with international clients. As Greece is an EU member state, this assisted us to work also outside Greece and thinking, let's say, as international lawyers and having a wide perspective. So we also have a significant number of lawyers having continued with their studies in both sides, I mean Europe and the United States. And this makes us positive for the effective outcome of cross-border collaboration. And if we talk about AI, lawyers will increasingly need AI tools to deliver their services efficiently and effectively. In fact, it seems that these tools are likely to become so valuable that lawyers may need them in certain contexts. And in other words, clients and companies will not want, let's say, standalone lawyers who eschew AI. Conversely, clients and companies with challenging legal matters are unlikely to rely on technology by itself. In my opinion, the future will require the use of technology-enhanced lawyers. And as all these tools, the LLMs, ChatGPT, or the Anthropic, or the DeepSeek, the Chinese, let's say, uh, tool, are going to have a substantial impact on our lives, I mean, professionally as lawyers, we need to find ways to adapt to this development. And I believe with the experiences from both sides, the collaboration between Greek and American attorneys, we will have also an impact in innovation legal service.
Well, I completely second what Costa said. I think for a maritime related lawyer that I am, I have to deal with the lawyers around the world. Greeks first among those. And of course, having a background from Greece helps. But we deal with people from all over Europe, Asia, Australia occasionally. Would love to do more with Australia. But the shipping world is very international, and I think we uniquely see the benefits of perspective, as you mentioned, and also a source of new potential clients for ourselves as well. And the benefits are will far outweigh the challenges, which are language or different legal systems. Things like a notary public in Greece is very different from a notary public in the United States, or figuring out what is an apostille and what how do you get that. So it's a fun way to practice because it opens your mind to different cultures and different business practices, some good, some not so good, and also different kinds of people. I think it's a beautiful thing, and this is a fantastic example of putting that into practice.
It is, isn't it? So thank you, John, and thank you, Kostas. And I recognize that you're all tired, but I would like to give you the chance to ask any question you want to the panel or offer your comments, since we didn't have an Australian or a Cypriot amidst us. Maybe you want to say something. And thank you. Yes, sir.
I asked how significant. Sorry,
There's a mic for you.
I wanted to ask how significant is the risk of losing privilege over client confidential information when law firms or corporates use AI?
Would you like to?
Yes, I didn't hear the question.
Sorry.
The question I was asking is the significance of the risk of losing privilege over client confidential information when law firms use AI or corporates use AI, and how do we handle that risk?
So the privilege, whether you can lose privilege on your legal privilege since you're using AI.
Well, sure, like the client confidentiality things, issues like that, or privilege documents, and is that the question, or whether how do you deal with that? I mean, I think that's a big issue we addressed earlier about how you punch in information into AI and it becomes part of the system. And as I said, if you have a system that can sort of put two and two together and figure out some of the parties and information that may be very confidential, and that's one of the big risks, and why we're very cautious about technology generally. In terms of AI, we still have not delved into it to the extent that Costa might have in company, but we're very much aware of that.
I guess it depends also on what type of environment you're using for your AI support. If it ring-fenced, is it just for you internally and for your company, or does it use the information it gets from you to train itself and be used by others? And
Well, that's knowing which kind of AI you're using, I guess.
Exactly, and it is very important the quality of data, because we have machines with, let's say, bigger data, but not with the right quality. And we have machines with less data, but quality data. So this is very important to know that right now, because I said that we are missing of policies, and we are not sure which machine anyone, let's say, is using. I mean, it's DeepSeek, it's Anthropic, it's ChatGPT. There is no control on this. And it depends, of course, on the outcome depends on the quality of data. And we must very, let's say, we must think about that not to use, let's say, any machine that it is on the market.
Yeah.
This is very important.
Yeah, if you're using something that is open to the general public and you put your client's information there, then it's really a
I
problem.
believe that using AI also needs some investment in equipment, in cybersecurity. Such machines, the good ones, are expensive. So not in technology, we say that not any technology, let's say, is the same. It depends.
Right. Any other question or comment? Yes, sir. Could you have the mic, please? Thank you.
Thanks. You might think this is weird coming from an Australian about GDPR and equivalency and protection. Kostas alluded to this a little bit earlier on. Schrems 2 and the Privacy Shield being found invalid a few years ago and what's happened since. Do you ever see it being resolved between the EU and the US regarding issues of adequacy of cross-border data transfers and personal identifiable information, given the US is very much a surveillance state and, as John said, doesn't really have much by way of privacy regulation, for the exception of like the California Consumer Privacy Act and a few other states. Do you ever see that issue being resolved? And if so, how would it be resolved, given that the EU is obsessed with privacy and protections, and given that a lot of the world's influential companies are both either based in the EU or the US?
Kostas, you want to follow up on that?
Data transfers from EU to US, it's not something new. I mean, it was, let's say, a big issue also in the old directive back in, I think it was 1999. And then came GDPR. The discussion is about the adequacy decisions. And of course, in my opinion, it is very important also to check the terms in contract. I mean, there is a lot of discussion right now in the EU, work on a new set of standard contract clauses, as we say, and this will apply for international data transfers to address the situation where a data importer of GDPR personal data is in a third country, but also subject to the GDPR. So let's say that there are the safeguards between the US and EU, but as lawyers, we have also to pay attention also to specific terms in contract, data protection and the transfer, especially when we talk about, let's say, health data, which is something very important.
And those already have laws on the books protecting them. So, you know,
Exactly.
that's what the U.S. kind of has relied on. The issue is protection of certain areas of data, and one of them is, of course, health data, but there are other laws on the books protecting specific areas of information. So until something more comprehensive is passed. That's what we have.
And this is why you have lawyers, right? So you want to find a way around these things. Any other question? Okay. I think we can call it a day. Thank you very much for staying with us so late. We appreciate it very much.